Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, first of all, welcome, and please make sure you subscribe because what I am about to tell you today involves Jungkook, one of the most exclusive jewelry houses in the entire history of fine jewelry, and a moment that the luxury world, the K-pop world, and everyone in between is still processing. Because on July 1st, 2026, something happened that genuinely placed Jungkook in a category of global cultural influence that very few artists in the entire world have ever occupied. And if you have been following Jungkook's brand journey over the past couple of years, you have been building up to this moment without even realizing it. So settle in, because we are talking about Jungkook and Graff today, and everything this partnership means. Let's start at the beginning, because to understand why this particular announcement hit the way it did, you need to understand what Graff actually is. And I think a lot of people who saw the news trending and clicked on it, even people who follow luxury brands, were not fully prepared for the answer to that question. Graff is a brand with a long legacy in the luxury jewelry market, established by Lawrence Graff, an English jeweler, in the 1960s, with son Francois Graff serving as CEO. That sentence sounds simple enough on the surface. But the reality of what Graff represents in the hierarchy of global luxury is something that takes a moment to fully absorb. Because we are not talking about a luxury jewelry brand in the way most people understand that phrase. We are not talking about a brand you might see advertised in a mainstream magazine, or whose store might appear in a premium mall, or whose pieces you might encounter at a regular jewelry counter. Graff operates in a completely different tier from that. To understand where Graff sits in the luxury hierarchy, you need to understand that the jewelry market is not flat. It has layers. Most people are familiar with the brands that occupy the upper tiers of mainstream luxury: Tiffany & Company, Cartier, Bulgari, Van Cleef & Arpels. These are iconic names, globally recognized, with heritage and prestige that span decades. They represent the top of what most consumers understand luxury jewelry to be. But above that tier, there exists a smaller, far more exclusive group of jewelry houses that operate at a level of rarity and price point that most people never interact with directly, and that many people are not even aware exist. This is the tier that the luxury world calls ultra-high-end, or Tier 1, or sometimes simply Tier S, the summit. And at that summit, there are essentially two names that consistently appear: Harry Winston and Graff. Graff is considered to be one of the only two ultra-high-end brands in the world, which explains why some are unfamiliar with it, for only the richest of the rich could afford it. When luxury analysts and insiders talk about the brands that exist above Cartier and Tiffany, Graff is consistently cited as the definitive representative of that category. This is a house that has handled some of the most significant diamonds in the history of gemology. The Les Etti La Rona, one of the largest gem-quality rough diamonds ever discovered. The Graff Venus, a stunning 118.80 carat flawless diamond. The Wittelsbach diamond, a legendary blue diamond with centuries of royal history that Graff acquired and recut, a decision that generated enormous controversy in the gemology world precisely because the stone was so historically significant. Graff bought the legendary Wittelsbach diamond for $24.3 million and recut it, sparking major controversy in the gem world. This is the level of the stones this house works with. This is the scale of the history they carry. While Graff is best known for some of the world's most important diamonds, the Lawrence Graff Signature Collection demonstrates how the house has translated the geometry of its gemstones into wearable gold jewelry. That is the specific collection at the center of the Jungkook partnership. The Lawrence Graff Signature Collection is Graff's most recognized wearable line, pieces that take the cutting geometry of diamonds, the angular precision that Graff is known for in its gemstone work, and translate it into sculptural gold jewelry that can be worn daily while still carrying the unmistakable DNA of the house. Each creation is intricately carved from a single piece of solid gold, showcasing the house's goldsmithing expertise and reflecting its long-standing commitment to craftsmanship. These are not mass-produced pieces. These are objects that represent one of the highest levels of goldsmithing skill that exists in the contemporary jewelry world. And it was these pieces, specifically, multiple rings from the Lawrence Graff Signature Collection, that fans noticed on Jungkook's hands in the weeks before the official announcement. On June 23, 2026, Jungkook departed South Korea for Madrid, Spain, alongside his fellow BTS members. Shortly after photos and videos from the airport surfaced online, fans turned their attention to Jungkook's accessories. They noticed that the singer was wearing several rings on both hands, which were identified as pieces from Graff. According to fan estimates, the jewelry he wore had a combined value of approximately $126,500. The rings reportedly included multiple pieces from Graff's Lawrence Graff signature collection, alongside diamond bands and other designs from the brand. Let that number sit for a moment. $126,500. In rings. At an airport. For a departure to join a world tour. And this was not a one-time observation. Fans had been tracking Jungkook's Graff jewelry appearances for weeks before the Madrid departure. Fans pointed to a newly released behind-the-scenes video from BTS's Arirang World Tour stop in Japan, where Jungkook appeared to receive a bouquet from Graff. The clues were accumulating. And once fans started connecting the dots, the conversation about what was coming exploded across social media platforms well before any official announcement. The discussion intensified when fans noticed that Graff Diamond's Japan PR manager followed Jungkook, fellow BTS member V, and the group's official account. While this alone did not confirm any partnership, it added momentum to ongoing speculation surrounding a possible collaboration. And then there was the marketing language. Some fans also pointed to Graff's recent promotional messaging. The luxury jeweler recently referred to a golden era in its marketing, a phrase that drew attention from BTS fans because of Jungkook's debut solo album, Golden. Golden era begins. Coming from a jewelry house that had been quietly following Jungkook on social media, sending him flower arrangements at tour stops, and whose pieces were appearing on his hands at every public appearance. The fan community had already decided what was happening. They were just waiting for it to become official. And then, on July 1, 2026, it became official. On July 1, Graff took to its official social media platforms to unveil a video with Jungkook donning the brand's jewelry pieces. The video features a set of sleek, elegant diamond rings and bangles encased in gold, worn by Jungkook. The teaser was intentionally mysterious. Oblique glimpses of his face were revealed in the video instead of detailed visuals of his profile, so it can be expected that further pictures from the campaign will be released soon by the brand. It was the kind of reveal that is designed to create maximum anticipation, to give the audience just enough to confirm what they suspected while leaving them hungry for the full campaign content that would follow. The reaction was immediate and enormous. The global lifestyle market has witnessed the massive impact of leading K-pop faces upon the soaring sales and popularity of brands. Jungkook of BTS has single-handedly contributed to the skyrocketing sales of products by Calvin Klein, with fans flocking to every store to catch a glimpse of his ripped physique as he flaunts the brand's collections. And now that same commercial and cultural force was being directed at one of the most prestigious jewelry houses in the world. Graff trended globally within hours of the teaser dropping. The hashtag Graff appeared in the worldwide trending charts almost immediately. In the United States specifically, it reached the number 3 trending position, meaning that a British ultra-luxury jewelry house that most mainstream American consumers had never heard of was suddenly one of the most searched and discussed topics on American social media, entirely because of Jungkook. Fan posts celebrated the moment with language like "Power of Golden Magne," Jungkook's long-standing nickname in the BTS fandom, combining his position as the youngest member of the group with the title of his debut solo album and his reputation for seemingly being able to elevate any brand he touches. ARMY communities across every platform were sharing the teaser, writing analyses of what Graff represents in the luxury hierarchy, creating educational content explaining the brand's history to fans who were encountering it for the first time, and of course, cataloging every single piece of Graff jewelry that Jungkook had been photographed wearing in the weeks leading up to the announcement. Now, let's talk about what this partnership actually means in the context of Jungkook's broader luxury brand portfolio, because Graff does not exist in isolation here. It is the latest and most prestigious addition to what has become one of the most impressive ambassador portfolios of any solo artist in the K-pop space. Chanel Beauty appointed Jungkook as a global ambassador for its fragrance and beauty division in December 2025, with the association continuing into 2026. Chanel confirmed the partnership through official channels, highlighting its intent to work with an artist whose global reach aligns with its brand narrative. Chanel, one of the most iconic luxury houses in the world, with a heritage that goes back over a century and a level of cultural cachet that is essentially unparalleled in the global luxury market. Jungkook as Chanel fragrance and beauty ambassador is already a statement about the tier at which he operates as a commercial and cultural figure. Then came Hublot, which welcomed Jungkook as its new global brand ambassador in February 2026, marking the fusion of two worlds that have redefined what it means to be original, a watchmaker that reshaped modern horology and an artist who reshaped the sound and rhythm of a generation. Hublot, the Swiss luxury watchmaker known for its revolutionary art of fusion philosophy, chose to launch a major ambassador partnership timed to the reinvention of one of its most iconic timepieces. The partnership was celebrated in Seoul, marking the fusion of two worlds that have redefined what it means to be original. And before that, Calvin Klein's collaboration with Jungkook took a distinct turn with a spring 2026 denim campaign that placed his ongoing relationship with the brand firmly in the spotlight. The collection was directed and photographed by Myrta Lass, whose imagery threads Jungkook's personal aesthetic into the brand's established visual language. Calvin Klein, Hublot, Chanel fragrance and beauty, and now Graff. Look at that list and think about what it represents. We are talking about 4 brands that collectively span the highest tier of fashion, fragrance, Swiss horology, and now fine jewelry. And not just any fine jewelry, the most exclusive tier of fine jewelry that exists in the contemporary market. Should the ongoing speculation about a partnership with Graff materialize, the British luxury jeweler would become the first jewelry house in Jungkook's ambassador portfolio. And that is exactly what happened. Graff became the first jewelry house on his list, and they started at the very top. This is not an accident. This is not luck. This is the outcome of a decade plus of Jungkook building a profile that speaks to luxury brands at the highest level in a way that very few artists in the world are capable of. The combination of factors that makes Jungkook uniquely valuable to these brands is worth understanding, because it explains why someone like Graff, a house that is extraordinarily selective about whose name they associate with theirs, would choose him. First, there is the global reach. BTS operates on a scale that is difficult to fully comprehend from the outside. The Arirang World Tour, currently ongoing as Jungkook joins the Graff campaign simultaneously, is described as spanning more than 88 dates in 34 cities across 23 countries. Tickets sold out across every single market within hours. The tour's gross revenue figures have been consistently breaking records at every stop, with the North American leg alone generating figures that surpassed records previously held by acts like the Rolling Stones. When Graff puts Jungkook's face on their campaign, they are instantly reaching an audience of millions of highly engaged, globally distributed fans who will encounter the brand through his association with it, many of them for the very first time. Second, there is the quality of engagement that Jungkook's audience brings. ARMY, the BTS fanbase, is not a passive audience. They research. They learn. They share. When the Graff teaser dropped, ARMY did not just repost the video. They immediately started creating and circulating detailed educational content about Graff, the brand's history, its founding by Lawrence Graff in 1960s London, its position in the luxury hierarchy, the specific pieces from the Lawrence Graff signature collection that Jungkook had been spotted wearing at airports and concerts, the significance of the golden era marketing language. Within hours of the announcement, people who had never heard of Graff before were coming away with a genuine understanding of what the brand represents and why the partnership matters. That kind of organic brand education, delivered at speed and at scale through fan community networks, is something that no traditional advertising campaign can replicate. Third, and perhaps most importantly for a brand like Graff, there is Jungkook's personal relationship with the jewelry and the aesthetic. Jungkook is the only male idol wearing Graff jewelry. Mind you, there are other brands he could have gone heavy promoting, but he chose Graff. This detail is crucial. The credibility of a luxury brand ambassador relationship depends enormously on whether the partnership feels authentic, whether the person representing the brand actually has a genuine connection to what the brand stands for, or whether they are simply a famous face attached to a product for purely commercial reasons. In Jungkook's case, the evidence of his authentic relationship with Graff existed visibly before any official partnership was announced. He was wearing the pieces at airports, receiving flowers from the house at tour stops, naturally gravitating toward Graff in contexts where he had complete freedom to wear whatever he chose. The brand partnership formalized something that was already there. The Lawrence Graff signature collection is designed for unique individuals who appreciate innovation, design, and dynamism. That description maps almost perfectly onto how Jungkook has consistently been described, both by the brands that work with him and by cultural commentators who cover his career. Innovation, design, dynamism. A person who is genuinely restless creatively, who pushes at the edges of what is expected of him, who has spent his entire career refusing to be defined by a single lane or a single style. The Hublet press release called him someone who has blended genres, creativity, emotions and instinct, shaping a voice unmistakably his own. Chanel cited his distinctive commitment to self-expression. And now Graff, with their language about gold craftsmanship and the geometry of diamonds translated into wearable art. All of these brands are, in slightly different language, describing the same person and the same essential qualities. And those qualities are genuinely his. It is also worth noting the specific significance of Graff's previous K-pop brand ambassador relationships in understanding why the Jungkook partnership represents such an elevation. Graff's Lawrence Graff signature collection was previously associated with Twice's Sana, who served as a brand ambassador for the collection, embodying the spirit of unique individuals who appreciate innovation, design, and dynamism. Sana's association with Graff was itself significant. Twice is one of the most successful and globally recognized girl groups in K-pop history, and Sana is one of the most prominent individual figures within that group. But Jungkook's global profile operates at a different scale, with a different kind of cultural reach that extends beyond K-pop communities into mainstream Western markets in a way that very few Asian artists have historically achieved. As Jungkook gets added to Graff's star-studded promotional roster of Asian celebrities, the partnership makes a strong case for pop culture in Asia as a driving force for global lifestyle markets. That framing is accurate, but I think it undersells what is actually happening here. This is not just about Asian pop culture driving Asian luxury markets. This is about a South Korean artist from a group that has spent over a decade building genuine, deep, emotionally invested fanbase relationships across every continent of the world, and that fanbase following him into conversations about ultra-luxury jewelry that they would never have had otherwise. Graff trending number 3 in the United States is not an Asian pop culture story. It is a global cultural story, and Jungkook is at the center of it. The Lawrence Graff signature campaign itself, the vehicle through which Jungkook is being introduced to Graff's audience, has its own distinct story worth understanding. The new Lawrence Graff signature campaign launched across Graff channels on June 17, 2026, and showcases new additions to the collection alongside existing designs in yellow, white, and rose gold. The campaign was photographed by renowned fashion photographer Stephen Klein at the iconic Sheetz Goldstein residence in Los Angeles, a landmark of modernist architecture originally designed by John Lautner in the 1960s. Stephen Klein is one of the most significant fashion photographers working today, known for his ability to create images that feel cinematic and psychologically charged rather than simply commercial. The choice of the Sheetz Goldstein residence, a masterpiece of California modernism with its dramatic geometry and expansive glass walls overlooking Los Angeles, reflects the specific aesthetic sensibility of the collection: angular, architectural, bold without being ostentatious. The collection itself takes diamond-cutting geometry as its creative foundation. Rather than replicating the appearance of a gemstone, the collection interprets the facets of a diamond as a design language. Angular surfaces, clean lines, and polished contours create jewelry that is instantly recognizable while remaining versatile enough for everyday wear. There is something fitting about the fact that Jungkook, an artist known for his ability to take something technically demanding and make it look natural and accessible, who can perform extraordinarily complex choreography in a way that reads as effortless, is the face associated with a jewelry collection that does something similar, takes the extraordinary technical precision of diamond cutting and translates it into something you can wear every day. The teaser campaign that dropped on July 1st is only the beginning of what Graff and Jungkook are building together. The oblique, mysterious quality of the initial video, hands adorned with Graff pieces, partial glimpses of a face that ARMY recognized immediately, the deliberate restraint of showing just enough without showing everything, is classic luxury campaign strategy for a major ambassador relationship. You tease, you generate conversation and anticipation, you let the audience's imagination fill in the gaps, and then you deliver the full campaign content in a way that rewards the attention that was built during the teaser phase. The full campaign content, when it comes, will almost certainly be extraordinary because the combination of Graff's commitment to visual excellence, Stephen Klein's photography, and Jungkook's ability to inhabit whatever creative world he is placed in with complete conviction is a formula that has every reason to produce something remarkable. What this moment in July 2026 really represents, when you step back and look at the full picture, is the culmination of something that has been building for years. Jungkook has spent the better part of a decade demonstrating that he is not just a pop star who is useful for selling products. He is a genuine luxury market figure, someone whose personal aesthetic, whose global reach, whose cultural credibility, and whose authentic taste in what he wears and how he presents himself makes him a legitimately valuable representative for brands that operate at the highest levels of their respective industries. Calvin Klein for fashion. Chanel for fragrance and beauty. Hublot for Swiss watchmaking. And now Graff for fine jewelry, not just any fine jewelry, but the tier that sits above Cartier and Tiffany, the tier that most of the world does not even know exists. The power of Golden Magne is not just a fan tagline. It is a descriptor for something real, the ability of one person, through the combination of genuine talent, authentic personal presence, and a relationship with fans built over more than a decade of shared history, to walk into any space in global culture and make it move. The luxury jewelry world moved on July 1, 2026. Graff trended worldwide. A British house that has been cutting some of the rarest diamonds in the world since the 1960s suddenly found itself in conversations it had never been part of before, reaching audiences it had never reached before. And it happened because of Jungkook. If you have been following his journey from the beginning, this moment probably feels like something you always knew was possible even if you could not have predicted exactly what form it would take. And if you are just learning about Jungkook through this video, welcome to understanding why this fandom has believed in what he is capable of from the very start. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video valuable, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more content covering Jungkook, BTS, and the moments where K-pop and global culture collide in ways nobody sees coming. Drop a comment below and tell me, when you see a portfolio like Chanel, Hublot, Calvin Klein, and now Graff, what do you think comes next for Jungkook? I would genuinely love to know what you think. I will see you in the next one.